is the kid we moved, yeah.
I know. He was here, then transferred, share the notes, but then it says the issues, so there's more issues being brought up about this PM and whatever. I mean, but I'll send you the notes I had. I'll also share with Mom that she was really touched. I'm like, well, yeah, but you really need to, I know, I was going to say, if you have this meeting set, I really would recommend you.
Yeah, it was at first. Having a quorum present, and of course we will have somebody coming back to his chair here slightly, I shall call this meeting to order. Please adjust your mics so that you can be heard and speak loudly and clearly. Our agenda is posted on the board docs, which is available on our USD 489 website. I would make the motion to accept the agenda as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Any discussion about the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please state nay. Please vote electronically the same way when that comes up. And something we do at every board meeting, but behind the wall is the mission, vision, it's a district mission, vision, core values. And the mission of USD 49 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom, every day. The consent agenda for tonight's meeting has also been posted publicly online. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion about the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Yes.
I noticed that there was, what was posted on Friday has changed since I looked at it. There was another item on there as 2.7. Was that something you changed on Friday, or when did you change it?
Which item are you referring to?
It was 2.7. It was an item that was on it. It's not on there.
It was
approval moved up.
insurance.
It was deleted.
Yeah.
Insurance, so I was not able to meet at the Friday meeting like we normally do. I met with Ron, and I guess at that point, it's just been postponed for another
Yeah.
meeting.
Just moved off the agenda.
Right. So if there's changes in the agenda, is there a way that we could somehow have that red flagged or mention that there's been an update or change? Because, I spent some time looking at that on Friday and didn't know that.
It'll probably come back to you at some point. We just didn't feel like we had enough information.
Okay, good.
So,
The other item was the personnel transactions weren't on there on Friday.
They were.
The item was, but not the list. Is that just added later, or?
I believe the list was there. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
didn't see it, so I'll double check that. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? So all those in favor of the...
Craig did.
Craig did. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please state nay, and please vote electronically the same way. I know that Ron would like to recognize.
Yeah, on the consent agenda tonight on personnel, we had a transfer, I guess, in a sense. I would like to congratulate Chris Romick, who will be the next principal at Roosevelt Elementary starting next school year. And Roosevelt is losing a very good school psychologist, but gaining a very good building principal. So congratulations to Chris Romick.
Okay. Moving on to recognitions, Ron, I'll let you have the floor yet again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I always think that sometimes we're going to run out of things to celebrate, but we seem to always have some great things going on. So we got a lot of good things that we can celebrate tonight. The first thing we'd like to celebrate is our Hayes High basketball team. So if they can come forward. You guys come on up here and just stand right up here in the front. Yeah, come on up. You're good. It's a little scary, I get it.
This is a scary group.
Thank you.
Yeah, right there. So 14 Hayes High students can now say they belong to the only high school Special Olympics basketball team in Kansas that was played in Hayes on March 19th. And our Hayes High team received a first place medal in their age bracket. So congratulations. Also that day, some of the students participated in individual skills at this event, and many medals were earned. These athletes worked hard at learning the skills it took to make it this far. Their practices were held weekly at Hayes High. They had the opportunity to practice and develop various skills with 3 peer leaders from Hayes High. This year's leaders were Gavin Myers, Evan Lind, and Will Linenberger. The team was coached by Jason Jordan, Haley Nixon, and Jacob Houghton, sorry, I'm not sure. We would also like to thank all of those who came out to support our Hayes High athletes and their families for making this possible, especially our Hayes High student section who came out to support and cheer our basketball team on. It was a great season, and they are already gearing up for next year. Please help me congratulate the Hayes High team for taking first place in their bracket at the Special Olympics tourney. Also, a big thank you goes out to our Hayes High School educators, Gina Dinkle, Jamie Wolbert, Nicole Linenberger, and Nicole Lynn, for their dedication to our student athletes. So, very proud. Good job.
Let me see that little.
Good job.
Let me see it. Ooh, it's heavy.
Congratulations. Good job.
Excellent job.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
Are you wanting a picture up front?
Excellent job.
Ron, you want a picture?
I think Shannon got a picture.
Okay, good.
Good job, man. Good job. Way to go.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Good job. Good job, man. Okay, I believe Donna has some recognitions that she would like to give tonight.
I do. Good evening. I'm going to call up Jessica and Carla and Ariel. So we had 2 Kansas Head Start Association State Award winners, and with COVID, they're still not having their annual event. So I asked them to come here so we could present them in front of the board. So I'm going to let Carla speak first on Jessica and her nomination.
Kind of ironic, we have 2 Jessicas as our award winners. The first Jessica I'm going to speak of is Jessica Brown, directly to my right. Like Donna said, my name is Carla Bixman, and I'm the Family Service Coordinator for Early Childhood Connections. And I feel honored to be here a second year in a row to present the recipient of the Kansas Head Start Family Advocate of the Year Award to one of our staff. I have the pleasure of working with many amazing people, but I consider it a privilege to supervise the family advocates in our program. They're all wonderful and deserving of recognition for the work they do with families every day. The role of the family advocate is to provide parent and family support services through monthly family visits that enhance parent-child relationships to promote the healthy growth and development of enrolled children and families. It is with utmost pleasure that I have an opportunity to share a few words with you about this year's recipient of the Kansas Head Start Family Advocate of the Year Award, Jessica Brown. Jessica's been a family advocate with Early Childhood Connections since August of 2014. And 3 words come to mind when I speak of Jessica: initiative, teamwork, and dedication. Jessica uses her considerable talents to solve problems. She doesn't wait to be assigned or for a need to be more widespread. Jessica quickly takes initiative, sizes up the situation, and makes a plan and acts. And sometimes begs for forgiveness rather than permission. Jessica may be the first to act, but she never works in isolation. She understands the importance of her coworkers and is a dedicated member of her team. Whether it is sharing celebrations or wish wells, working to implement new initiatives, or advocacy on district-wide committees, Jessica knows the value of her Connections team. She is dedicated to using her many talents to help others. She is dedicated to children, families, coworkers, and to the organization as a whole. Jessica is a fierce advocate for families on her caseload. She has impacted every family she serves by the relationships she forms with them. She works hard to be knowledgeable of community resources that may benefit the family in her care. One of Jessica's families shared this: Jessica has been the most influential, helpful, and reliable resource while our kids went to Head Start. She goes above and beyond to help our family locate necessities. She has connected us with community resources ranging from counseling services, affordable transportation, and even a dentist. We always look forward to meetings with Jessica. She listens and hears our concerns and supports us as we work together to find solutions to problems. We know that Jessica's relationship is more than just a job. We believe she genuinely cares about our family. We love working with Jessica. Like all family advocates, Jessica's most important contribution is her ongoing support and advocacy for the families she serves. Jessica, however, has always gone a step above the responsibilities outlined in her job description. Jessica has been instrumental in creating an online family visit system for our families. She is quick to help problem solve, listen, and brainstorm new ideas for improving this process to assure it is workable for all staff and family friendly. Her work led to more efficient, user-friendly, and ultimately effective services for families. I wish to acknowledge and applaud Jessica for her dedication and time, as well as her advocacy, compassion, visibility, and accountability to the Connections program. You are loyal, committed, and want the best outcomes for all. I appreciate the contributions you make to our families, to our program, and to our community. Thanks for all you do, and congratulations on a award well deserved.
And when we say she does go above and beyond, right now she's dog sitting for a family that wanted to rehome their dog. So she truly does. Secondly, I'm going to bring up Jessica Molnar. And she is our Kansas Head Start Support Staff of the Year. So Ariel will speak a few words.
My name is Ariel Simpson, and I'm the school nurse at Early Childhood Connections. I'm here with Jessica to present this award for Head Start Support Staff of the Year. This award celebrates the important contributions of staff who work in administration, management, facilities, food service, transportation, health, disabilities, and social services. So it's a big range of people, but Jessica. Jessica's association with Head Start began when she and her children enrolled in the program. Jessica has 3 children of her own who attended the program. Even though Jessica already had a plate full, she opened her home and her heart to adopt her niece and nephew as well. They too attended the Head Start program. The director of Connections describes Jessica in one word as a mother. She has always put her children first, all 5 of her children. She pours so much love into all her children. Jessica began working at Head Start in 2005 as a teacher assistant and family worker. And then in 2019, she transferred to her current position as a health administrative assistant. She's worked for 16 years in the Connections program. Jessica's the first health administrative assistant for Connections. Due in part to her work, the new position has surpassed initial expectations. Most cannot remember how we existed without her. in this position. She's excellent in the process of gathering required health information. She professionally communicates with the staff, the parents, medical providers, and her contributions are not solely contained to her job duties. She consistently volunteers to cover all sorts of things in the program. She routinely covers staff shortages in the classroom. She takes a shift at the front desk every day answering phones while the receptionist is out to lunch. And if you want anything done, Jessica is our girl. She's the first to enthusiastically volunteer, all while still competently completing her own job duties. Most recently, due to the COVID pandemic, our kitchen at Connection was very short-staffed. One exhausted cook was trying single-handedly to cook breakfast, lunch, and snacks for a building full of infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. Jessica stepped in and came in early every day for over 2 months to fill this shortage. When a new nutrition assistant was hired, Jessica continued to come until the new staff person was trained and ready to tackle the job by herself. So, Jessica's described by her peers as dependable, helpful, and compassionate. Staff members know that she is reliable and can be trusted to submit needed documents on time and in a competent manner. If Jessica says she'll do it, we all know that we can depend on her. She's helpful. She understands our first priority is to take care of our children. As such, she will volunteer to help cover staff vacancies or take a shift riding the bus. Her willingness to help is accompanied by a smile and we can get through this together kind of attitude. Finally, Jessica's traits of dependability and helpfulness come from her compassionate heart. As a mother herself, she wants to make sure every child is taken care of. She identifies personally with the children and parents served. She wants to see them succeed. Her helpfulness is often motivated by her compassionate heart. She does what she can to ease the burden and stress from her coworkers. If she can lighten someone's load by covering the phones for an hour, she willingly and happily does it. There probably isn't a Connection staff person who hasn't received a goodwill note on their desk from Jessica. She's a constant source of support for all of us and is very deserving of this award. So we couldn't be more proud of Jessica, and we are so glad she's part of our Connections family.
I just want to thank everybody that I work with. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them. And also, I would like to accept this for everybody that works with Connections. I feel like we're a whole team. I don't feel like I deserve this by myself. I feel like together we did what we had to do. And thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
I feel like we should ask them to go around and shake our hands, but I don't know whether you guys are up to that. Thank you very much, and we're very honored you could be here today, and thank you for letting us celebrate in your accomplishments. Are there any other? There's some more. You've got some more, Ron. I knew it. You guys aren't just standing up there for keeping the wall up, are you?
Not just a bunch of people who accidentally wore the same shirts. Okay, so Lincoln, come on up. Lincoln, come on up and have a.
Ladies, as they come up.
Oh, yeah, if you want to. I'm going to say a few things.
Okay. I'll just them will come up, then you can say a few things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Kay Shippey, our title teacher. Geraldine Dudley, she is student teaching at Lincoln this semester, but she is a former staff member. Daphne Brown, who has taken over the role as our counselor this year. Jamie Coleman, 5th grade. Anna Schenthaler, she is 4th grade. Monica Dreiling, 5th grade. Haley Viner, 3rd grade. Daisy Herrera, she is an ELL para. Maria Lozano, she is also an ELL para. Jolene Vidstum, she is a kindergarten teacher. Jody Sprouse, she is the administrative assistant, the one and only in our building. Thank you, thank you. Lauren Craig, 2nd grade. Jenny Pride, 1st grade. Jody Dinkle, 1st grade. Jordan Otto, she is a kindergarten aide. Peyton Osmeyer, 2nd grade. Diara Lesage, kindergarten. Larissa Whitney, 3rd grade. And Valerie Cullup, she is taking a new role this year as our K-2 sped teacher.
So are you all done? Okay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So tonight, we would like to recognize Lincoln Elementary with the Challenge Award that is awarded through Kansas State Department of Education, Confidence in Public Education Task Force for Kansas schools that recognize schools that are making a notable difference in student academic achievement despite facing significant challenges. This award recognizes Lincoln Elementary for their outstanding achievement and uncommon accomplishment based on the Kansas State assessment results. Lincoln Elementary has strived hard in the last couple of years to reach for higher levels of academic performance for their students through their work through MTSS school improvement process, Kansas Redesign, and the Kansas Learning Network. This award helps showcase the many positive academic achievements that are taking place every day at Lincoln Elementary. Please help me congratulate Lincoln Elementary for their achievement of excellence recognition. Congratulations.
Oh, the official. I just want to state just a couple of things. First of all, one of the hardest things I have done in 30 years, this is my 30th year in education, is tell my staff 2.5 years ago that we were on improvement. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I will tell you, this group, and I am not telling you about my staff, I am telling you about our family. We are a family. We start every morning with Good Morning Lincoln Family. That is how the announcements start. And we are a family from the oldest in the building, which is probably pretty close to me, and the youngest, which is kindergarten. And they grabbed this challenge and ran with it. One of the examples that I have, we had conferences in the fall shortly after this announcement. And I asked them, I said, please plan all of your conferences and all of your breaks before 7:15 p.m. Because that last hour, we need to have a staff meeting. Conferences were supposed to be over at 8:30, and a little after 9, we were all still there talking about how we could do what was best for kids. You will notice that we don't just have teachers. We have paras here. We have student teachers here. We have administrative assistant here, because we are a family, and it takes every single one of us. And I could not be more proud of this group, because coming from 2.5 years ago to where we are now, and we don't apply for this, guys. We earned this. So, congratulations.
That's it?
Yes, thank you. Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Yes, congratulations.
And you look sharp, too.
I love the matching shirts.
We have one male teacher on staff, which she couldn't be here tonight, but she did wonder why we took so much time with the staff meeting to talk about what we do there.
Judge Sanders.
So that wraps up the recognition portion, Ron? Okay. So at this time is our public forum. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak tonight? Okay, well, let me go ahead and just share these. Speakers are asked, these rules, I should say. Speakers are asked to start with stating your name and your address where you reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make your presentations. You are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying questions, board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. And we ask that all the public respect these rules so that everyone has a chance to provide input. So, the first hand I saw go up.
Good evening. My name is David Klingon. I live at 4412 Newton Circle. Besides everything, I'm a parent and also have 2 wonderful children that are much smarter than me. And then I'm also the chair of the bond committee that we're in the process. And I just wanted to give you a quick update of what's been going on, just to keep everyone in the loop. And I just want to start off with this. I wanted to thank the board again for their unanimous vote to move this bond forward. That meant a lot to me, and it's meant a lot to a lot of people that I've talked to, so thank you very much for this, and your continuous support through the whole process as we're going through this. Thank you, because as we have events, as we have meetings, I'm seeing faces there, and the support, as you guys are learning, and we are too, so thank you very much for this. I want to make sure I recognize Chrissy Crow, because she has done a marvelous job on the USD 49 bond website. I really had asked about getting a lot of information put on there. That way, when people have questions, they can go to that for the facts, and she has just done a marvelous job keeping that updated. On there right now, just the newer things were some of the renderings, the overhead view of the high school versus what the new high school would be right beside it, the bond scope, and the questions and answers. She keeps those updated, so as we get newer questions asked, she'll add that to that list just to help people when they're looking at that to see those questions are being asked by others and getting those answers. I also want to recognize Sarah Wassinger for getting the Facebook set up for Count Me In for Hayes. If you have not gone there yet, you need to. It has been viewed 1,000 times. Plus, there's also a link on there to order the school bond shirts, which closes on March 30th at 10 a.m. If you'll notice, Jeff Crispin is dressed just like I am as we advertise the burgundy polo shirts and black pants and shoes. We are twins tonight. Thank you, Jeff. Last Tuesday at the venue for the open house, I want to recognize the administration for doing a great job setting that process up. We had a great variety of people present to answer questions, explaining the school bond, the half-cent sales tax proposal. In addition, I saw several of the Board of Education members come through, and thank you, Lori, for staying the whole time. I appreciate that. There was a strong turnout from beginning to end, and I have to tell you that the nachos were really good too. So once you got through everything else at the back end was the food, double win. Sunday, we started putting out big signs, 4x8 signs, 2x4 signs throughout Hayes, just talking about the school bond. You're going to see a lot more of those going up, and probably a week from Monday, or a week from today, hopefully, we'll be putting up 150 to 250 yard signs throughout Hayes where people have asked us. They just stepped forward going, hey, I would like to have one in my yard in that process. Lastly, early voting starts 28 days from now. That's April 25th. We're really excited about that, but we really thank the administration for all their support. We thank the school board for everything that you guys have been doing to support this as well. It just helped us through this process.
Very good.
Thanks.
3 minutes exactly. Thank you very much. But also, thank you to you and the rest of the efforts of so many. This is, I think it's been exciting to hear this as a community bond, not a school board bond. This is really trying to reflect as many voices as possible. Are there other public comments? Okay, seeing none at this time, the twin said no, he said no? Okay, so at this point, there is another presentation that is regarding the Hayes High Boost Program. Ron, are you going to introduce it, or?
I think this probably could have been worked into our celebrations a little bit, but we're going to let Mr. Henderson lead the discussion and share some really good things that are happening at Hayes High.
These are some new programs that are happening at Hayes High, and we just felt like it would be neat to share some of the positive of some of these if they've come about. So that's the Boost program in CBL, which is computer-based learning. They're kind of linked in terms of how they operate inside of our school. We're just really proud of our staff and this new opportunity, and the long and short of it is that
Is the laser pointer
There
on?
we go.
okay, good. Okay, so the long and short of it is we needed to come up with a way to help students that are off track to graduate. And so really, in looking at that, that is meaning that they have lost credits, right? So they have failed a course or a number of courses, as the case may be. So the admin team, counselors, building leadership team looped in, lots of conversation. Core teachers was the final decision, English, math, science, and social studies, and then it really takes place in CBL and GPS. So the long and short of it is that students who were within 5 percentage points, 5% of passing grade, got an I in the grade book, okay, for the first semester. Kind of similar to what a college would do when someone doesn't quite make it. Then they had a little over a month to take care of the competencies needed to hit the lowest passing grade. So you'll notice that 57 to 62%, those are the students that were identified, that they had those grades in those core classes. And then if they chose to be part of this boost program, they could work over the next 5 weeks or so to get the lowest possible passing grade. But the difference is substantial to go from a failure to a credit. And then that did not count as part of CASHA. If you did not make it, you didn't make it. You have to pass 5 classes from one semester to the next. But this is to impact their transcript. There was a memorandum of understanding, and Mr. Winter's going to talk about that. And then Mel McDonough, who is new to us this year, she is really where the students are doing the work, and she had a lot to do with that. So she's going to speak as well. So Mr. Winter's going to talk about this MOU and how we got these students on board to working on that.
Okay, the first form on the left side, once we ran a report on those students who were within 5%, and remember, 63% is passing. So once we ran a report on that, then we called in those students and met with them individually as administrators, called them in and went over the Boost program with them. So we covered those points with them. They were able to see, and we filled out the form that the classes that they qualified to boost in. Obviously, we had to do a lot of explanation for this first opportunity for those kids. And one thing that we used over and over again is a credit recovery. This is a boost credit recovery instead of waiting. And so they had to get they had to put their signature down. They had to go to their teacher, get their teacher's signature, and then take it home to their parent or guardian and get their signature, and then they had to bring it back. So once they brought it back, that form, and we went over those qualifications, then we had 100% kids, obviously, chose to boost on those classes. The second form to your right is the boost requirements that is provided by the teacher. Now, the teacher had full input on what needed boosted. They had options. One was an individual option where that student may have only not met certain requirements in the class. Maybe it was a unit that they failed, or they had an illness in the family and did not get it in on time, but they missed some competencies that they needed to go back, which that's what credit recovery is going back, looking over those competencies and mastering that, and as you would in an intervention in the middle of a school year. So the second would be as a whole individual class, where the teacher would, for any student in that class that qualified for boost, would either through Edgenuity or through their own device would fill out or complete those requirements in those 4 weeks. And then lastly would be maybe a student especially missed a big project, or they missed a substantial amount of class because of participation points. So the teacher has that option to go in and fulfill those competency, or provide the work for the student to do, to redo that, or to go back, instead of going back through a full lesson, but to adjust that and to go to passing. And so that form, the teacher would talk to Mrs. McDonough, And Mrs. McDonough worked closely with all the teachers and got the appropriate Edgenuity units, which would be adapted for their credit recovery within those 4 weeks. This time, I'd like to introduce Mrs. McDonough. I have observed her. I've been in her classroom. I was involved in the hiring process. One of probably finest educators that I have come across in my many years. She would be good in any content area that you put her in because she's passionate about kids. This is one of her passion areas, and she'll share that with you. But we are very, very blessed to have her as part of our staff and the Hayes High family. So go ahead, Mel.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. My name is Melanie McDonough, and I get to be the Hayes High computer-based learning teacher. And I truly mean that, and I thank you, Mr. Winter and Mr. Henderson, for the kind words. I came from 25 years prior to this in education, moved back to Kansas, back home, and at 25 years I was burned out. I tried something new, and then this position came open, and I knew this is what I needed to do. Again, I get to be the teacher of these amazing students. And what I'm going to do tonight is just provide some numbers to hopefully help you understand the benefit that this new program is providing our students. When I say this is a team effort, I absolutely, truly believe that this is a team effort. All the way from our teachers who, with intentionality, identified the academic deficiencies that each individual student had, to our counselors who have just spent hours with these students and making sure that they have the encouraging words to get them where they need to be. Our administrators who sat down with every single student and sold this opportunity to them. Our GPS paras who readjusted their schedules to be able to pull those students out for at least 30 minutes every single time during their GPS to make sure that they were working on Boost, and our students. The students had to commit. They had to believe in this. They had to do the work. They had to put that time in. So my role in this was just to make sure that I was communicating with all parties. I did put together the courses and just monitor the students and make sure that they were getting done what they needed to get done. When it was all said and done, we did identify 48 students who needed or met the requirements for Boost, and we had 4 students who had 2 classes that they had to Boost. So we ended up with 52 courses that needed to be recovered, and this is just at the end of semester 1. By the deadline, and they did have a strict deadline because opportunities don't last forever, by the deadline, we had 42 out of 52 courses recovered. And that is, in my opinion, for the first time, that's pretty significant. We have 9 students who will need to recover their credits in a different way, probably summer school, because they did not meet the expectations of Boost. And I am always looking at ways that we can teach these life lessons along the way. So yes, academically, you regain that credit, but what else did you learn? So these students learned accountability. They had to be held accountable for the things that they did not do, the things that got them to Boost. They also had to be accountable for making sure that they met the requirements that were outlined in the Boost program. Communication. For some of these students, this is the first time that they sat down face-to-face alone in a room with an administrator. And that's pretty heavy sometimes. So they did, and it was wonderful, but that was a big communication opportunity for them. They also had to know that they had to communicate with me. For some of these students, they had never met me before. They're not on my roster. So they had to be able to communicate efficiently with me to get their work done. Understanding contracts. They had an MOU. So they were held accountable on paper by the principal, by their parents, by the teacher, and they are understanding that those commitments are now solid. They are set in stone. Time management. Not only did they have to carry their load of their regular classes, now they had something else on top of it. So that time commitment piece was important, or time management piece was important as well. growth mindset. Just to give you an example, I had a student who, one of the GPS paras had emailed me, and she's like, this student just refuses. He signed the MOU, he just refuses. He does not want to do this. I'm like, send him to me. And so we had a conversation, and I felt like it was a productive conversation, but you never know when that student leaves if they're going to follow through. And lo and behold, about a week and a half later, he completed his course. So there had to have been some growth mindset in there somewhere, and hopefully that continues. And just an authentic plan of action. From the time that you realize that I have made a mistake, to I'm going to sit down with the correct people, the people who are going to guide me and help me and pick me up and dust me off and show me some positive ways to get through this, and then putting in the work, and then hopefully learning from that mistake and failing forward. That's an authentic plan of action. And hopefully they can carry over that idea into real life. So computer-based learning, what I get to do every single day is just what the Boost students did, but these students are on my roster. These students are identified as failing courses, and they need to recover that credit. There are a few students who are in my class who are there for different reasons. Maybe they moved from another district or another state, and their credits are not aligning with the credits of Hayes High School. So I have currently 61 active students, and this does not reflect where we started at the beginning of the school year. It does not reflect where we even started at the beginning of the semester. My rosters are constantly fluctuating because as students complete their courses, they are moved into a GPS. Or as students are moving into the district or are struggling in a class, they are moved into my classroom. So it's constantly in and out and in and out. To date, we have 75 courses completed. Well, actually, I had 3 other students finish today, so that number goes up, which is awesome. I have 75 courses completed, and we have several students who have since moved out of Hayes High and out of the district, and they finished courses before they left as well. So it benefited them as well. If we add in the semester 1 Boost completions, we have a total of 117 courses completed to date. And I anticipate conservatively, of course, another 34 courses to be completed by the end of the school year, which would bring us to a total of 151 courses to be completed by May 19th. And again, those are credits that are recovered. Those are students who have been given this opportunity, and they have taken advantage of this opportunity, and they, again, are failing forward. They are learning from that mistake and hopefully making better choices from that point on. And then once we add in semester 2 Boost, those numbers, those course completion numbers will continue to rise. This is my favorite part, the celebrations. The celebration of this program in general is that students are catching up with their peers. They are starting to have the idea that they can do hard things. I can do this. It's just going to take some work. And the grit and the perseverance, I tell my students all the time, I want you to struggle. I want you to struggle because that struggle is going to help you in your next struggle. And that struggle is going to help you in your next struggle. Students are starting to see the value in the opportunity. I've seen so many students turn a corner this year. Students who at the very beginning of the year were dragging their feet. And now they get in and they work. They put their noses down and they get to work. And they ask for help too. And that's something that I think is a big deal because some students, they just don't know how to do that. Again, many have successfully leaned into the opportunities of this new program, and some are not quite there yet. And I would be lying to you if I said that every single student is thriving in this program. They are not. Some just are not there yet. And the reality is that what got some of these students where they are, that did not happen overnight. And to get them where they need to be is not going to happen overnight. But we're going to give them another repetition. And we're going to help them understand that with that grit and that perseverance, they're going to get there at some point. And my favorite celebration is that some students on May 15th will wake up and they will be able, sorry, I'm going to get, I'm the sappy one. They will be able to put on their cap and gown and they will walk across the stage and they will get their high school diploma, their Hayes High School diploma. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I have 4 seniors in my mind who on paper at the beginning of this school year, it was heavy. It was a heavy load. And I know that they felt the heavy load as well. But again, they turned a corner. And they are still working. Those 4 students are still working. And they are going to work until that very last hour, but they will walk on May 15th. So this is a program that I believe in. And Boost was just an opportunity to kind of up the ante and help just a few more students.
Last thing is that second semester boost, thank you, good job, is that we will plan to have boost happen right after school lets out. We're still working on the plans of all of that. And then if you complete that boost, you would probably not need to come to summer school. So that would be a positive impact as well. And it's all on your shoulders as the student to make that happen. So, okay, go ahead.
Just wanted to add, on the boost portion of it, a lot of those are freshmen. We had a lot of freshmen that I met with when we filled out paperwork. And we're talking about 4 years of graduation. A lot of our freshmen who don't start out very well as they go into high school in that transition process, you believe the amount of failures that continue to happen if this boost program was not there. Now, teachers have talked to me and said, now I'm like, I'm not going to qualify for boost next time, I'm just going to pass, because it's hard work to do your A classes for 4 weeks and that other part to boost. So it's not easy by any means, and it's a life lesson, and that's what we want to do. And Mel's done a great job with that, and just watching it from the onset. But like I said, freshmen are huge, and I know we've changed a lot of lives with our seniors to do that, but to not start in the hole is a huge thing.
Thank you for letting us share. Do you have any questions about that? Or?
They're just reporting their GPS time?
What's
Is that when they're coming?
Yeah, So
Before school, after school, just GPS?
Yeah, well, and they have an opportunity to work on that class outside of there as well, but yes.
So they're just reassigned GPSs?
Well, reassign, and that's where she said the paras are involved. They're helping those students use some of their GPS time to take this and finish those competencies.
So do they report to her classroom?
They're a little bit of both. She tends to be the person that helps them, and then the GPS para as well.
Work with them too?
Yeah, they're doing that in GPS. Both, yeah.
I just wrote down a couple of things. This is a great opportunity, and I wrote down, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results. So this is a new emphasis, and it puts a lot of it back on the student, plus with a lot of work. Like you said, the counselors, the administration, teachers, everyone. So it's not easy, but it's worth it. And my last one is, we've all known that not all students learn on the same day, same hour. It takes some of us longer. Thank you.
Yeah. This started in the summer, so to find out is when we were starting this, and Mr. Henderson brought this option as we went forward and planned. There's a lot of people involved in it, but it sometimes have to come from an initial idea. So thank you.
So real quick,
Please.
You mentioned the second semester boost and the recovery there. School will be out, so you won't have them in GPS. So how would that work? Would they still have to report, or are you going to just talk to them and send them home?
We're still working on that, right? No, in fairness, yes, we're talking about how that works with summer school, and we're having those conversations, and we are making those plans. Kind of like that there was a short and abbreviated time for them to get that done. We do that in the spring too, but like all the way along here, our building leadership team teachers, there's been feedback all the way, so we are still building exactly what this will look like. We just know that we want to do it from the success that came from the first semester.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, thanks.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation as well as the work you're doing. So, all right, moving along to district communications, our superintendent's time.
Okay, I'll just run through my list here. Of course, we talked a little bit about the bond open house last. I thought it was a great representation of what the work that has been put together and done, and just some great conversations that evening. Wanted to talk also a little bit about as property valuation notices came out last week. Of course, that always, when we saw a little bit of an increase, that always stirred some things up. One of the things I did want to share, I don't know, Jess, can you pop up that, what is it, the property valuation comparison? Yeah, I mean, you have this in your packet, but I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. As we looked at property valuations, and there was an increase in property valuations, as far as, but that mill levy is still set, and how that will be determined will come later as the city and the county deal with that. But I think it's worth noting that right now, in the state, Hayes has the second lowest property mill levy of all cities in the state of Kansas. Overland Park being first, we're being second, and we're just like 1/10 of a point with Overland Park. So if you look at that, you can see that if you take a home in Hayes of $250,000 value, property tax is roughly going to cost you $3,153. In Garden City, that same $250,000 home is going to cost you $4,765. And as you can see down the list, with the exception of Wichita, we're by far way lower than most communities. And so as that conversation gets out there, I think it's worth noting that, although we did see an increase, and I think I always try to share with people, having our property worth something is way better than it being the other way, where we're having property that's not worth anything. And so I know sometimes that's can cause a little angst with people, but I think I do want to take some time to share that we're far from the most expensive or costly city in the state. So wanted to share that as well. Some upcoming, talking a little bit about what we've done. Last week, I spent some time visiting with quite a few people about the bond. One of the people or groups that I did visit with was the Lincoln Home and School Association, and met with a lot of parents and as well as staff, and we had great conversations. Some upcoming bond opportunity activities coming up this week. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to spend the day at Hayes High School visiting with juniors and seniors, talking to them about the bond opportunity that is out there, and sharing some of the information that I think it's important for them to know, and especially some of them are potential voters for this upcoming bond. So we're continuing to do a lot of work, continuing to not miss any opportunities. We've had some. We're scheduling times at each of the elementaries and as well as the middle school and high school for parents and to come in and ask questions specifically about anything that they may have. And we are tentatively looking at possibly looking at another open house later in the month, at the end of the month, in April. So, but that will still, information is still upcoming. Did want to share a little bit about a legislative update. Several bills that have either passed out of the Senate or the House, and a lot of these bills could have substantial impact on our schools. Basically this week what they're looking at is all of these bills that have been passed out of the Senate or the House, they're now going to conference committee where they're massaging the bills so that both both groups can then move forward to present and pass through their respective chambers so we can, and then possibly go to governor. So we'll just have to wait and see how this works out. Senate Bill 444, that is got the governor's recommendations for K-12 funding. One of the things that I thought was important is they're increasing the full-time virtual funding from $5,000 to $5,600. And once again, it has that unique little payment that they've been doing the last few years where they don't give us our June payment until July. Still kind of playing that game. I don't know. So I'll just let you make determination of, because I would tell you that the state is going to end with cash reserves of $1.5 billion. That's billion. Open enrollment bill. That's a House Bill 2615. Once again, this is allowing students to transfer to any district. They would ask the board to develop a policy on capacity numbers of how many students we could take. But if we're not at our capacity transfer, students would then have to be accepted. We would not have any local control, no matter what that student's situation is. And then, of course, if the parent is denied, they can appeal to the board or then eventually to the state board. So I would say that we probably accept 99% of students already. Very seldom do we ever deny an out-of-district request, and it's basically because of capacity or the student has maybe a history of some challenges that have happened outside of our district, and sometimes bringing it in and, I guess spending more resources from within from someone who is outside our district doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's very rarely does that happen. Senate Bill 455 is the Senate's version basically of this open enrollment bill, and basically they're just getting more specific about those that capacity ratio numbers and just trying to give the board giving the board some reasons to maybe why the student might not be in good standing, and that could be those things like absenteeism, suspensions, or expulsions, which once again, we already do this. It's being done already, but now we're trying to make it legislation. But once we do accept that student is ours all the way through graduation. We can't say after a year if things aren't going well, you need to go back to your home district. There's a House Bill 2662 and Senate Bill 496. That's that Parent Bill of Rights that you probably heard a little bit. This bill contains a legislative statement of 12 parental rights and required local policies. It's adding this academic transparency portal, which will ask teachers to post their curriculum, anything that they may be doing in class online. And it's even been mentioned that it might have to be 4 months in advance. I think there's even some things that if teachers who refuse to teach certain, also in the bill that if a teacher has a certain belief, a religious belief, or something that they hold important to them, and they do not want to teach that certain thing, they would not be held, cannot be negatively evaluated or terminated. That's also in those bills. So, interesting. House Bill 2466, it's just that computer science bill. It's just saying that we must offer a computer science class, but it would not be part of our graduation requirement. Senate Bill 484 is that fairness in athletics. It's that transgender boys cannot compete with girls. Senate Bill 541, it's that bill prohibits public officials from discriminating against students based on their COVID-19 status. It's saying we can't ever require masks or require schools we have to recognize exemptions for vaccinations and denying access to facilities unless there is reasonable grounds to believe a person is actually infected with the disease. So part of just a little bit of fallout from the COVID situation. House Bill 2567, that's at Fort Leavenworth, excluding them from the bond and capital improvement state aid. Originally, we had a little bit of glimmer of hope there for a minute or two that we thought maybe we might be able to get some state aid out of that. That's not possible for us. We did have some districts, Ellis being one of them, that they thought they were going to be able to reap, because once you took Fort Leavenworth off the top, it moved down to the next, and it really changed how many schools would be eligible and the amount that they would be able to get. But the legislature changed that, so they, instead of saying the cap was at 75%, they moved the cap down to 51%. So basically, we're kind of back in the same exact situation. So there really, I don't think anyone will gain anything out of that if that goes and is passed through both the House and the Senate. And then this kind of interesting bill, the House Bill 2512, that's that appropriations bill. It's a little bit of everything in this bill. It prescribes actions for students to take and reach proficiency on the third grade reading, have kids involved in the additional programs, allowing for homeschool kids to participate in band, which we already do. It's adding $3 million to mental health program, which is good. $5 million for safe and secure grants, which is good. But once again, they're assessing us a fee to hire a dyslexia coordinator for the state. That was part of the mandate. And also, they're asking us to pay a fee for this math curriculum that the legislature has deemed as best math curriculum, I guess. They'll be assessing us a fee, and that curriculum is for those students in grades 7th, 8th, and 9th who score a 1 or 2 on the state assessment. And we'll be getting a fee for that. Once again, this is just my little commentary. State's ending with $1.5 billion in cash reserves, but they're going to charge us for this mandated curriculum. Also, I thought it was interesting in House Bill 2512, there was a proposed amendment to fully fund special education at 92%, and over the excess cost over 5 years for $68 million, and it was voted on by the committee, and it passed. However, quickly, someone realized that what that meant was that if they passed that, they might have to fund it every year from here on out. So they quickly changed some amendments and quickly pulled it, and so special education did not get funding. The one thing you might hear, and you might hear that they are fully funding education this year. That is true. They are funding the governor's recommendation for the Gannon, which was decided by the Kansas Supreme Court, but they are not fully funding special education. So I think it's important that we note that difference. So just giving you an update on what's happening at the state level with the legislative session and some of the stuff that's going on. Also, just as a board, you will be we are working on getting some bids put together. Some of those bids are for a car to be shared between driver's ed and transportation. This is going to be a result of we have some additional revenue in driver's ed that we need to spend down. So we'll be sharing those costs with driver's ed. The district will be sharing those costs from the transportation budget, as well as the driver's ed to purchase a car. We'll be bringing those bids to you probably next meeting. This will give us some flexibility and help us spend down some of that revenue. Also, the cyber security, as we've working on putting together some pieces that are important for our district to maintain a high level of cyber security. You'll be seeing some bids quotes come to you for approval starting next meeting. And just also that board self-evaluation feedback from Gary Sechrist, that will occur on May 16th, and that'll be at a regular board meeting. So, and that's all I have for the update this evening.
Any questions for Ron? All right, moving on. We have our community strategic long-range planning. Ron, do you want to share more first?
Yeah. So this was a result of our 2 evenings that we spent together working on putting together a long-range plan that will help give us some direction for the next 5 years. Gary Sechrist led this from KSB. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. You have that report in front of you. Just the process that we went through, I thought was a very good process. We had a lot of great conversation both evenings around the table in terms of how things, what we saw as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for our district. We also talked a little bit about where we wanted, our dreams of maybe where we would like to see our district. Ultimately, the whole project or the goal was to come up with some themes that we will then work towards putting together some goals. It really came down to four themes, common themes that were found: support of students and teachers, staff, and families. Retaining and attracting quality educators was the second theme. Inclusivity and diversity was the third theme, and the fourth theme was transparency and communication. So, with that, the goal would be now to look at how those themes can be formed into goals. I have included this evening a timeline for you to look at. You want to pull that up, Jess? Can you pull it? Yeah, you got it up there, thanks. So if you look at, we had the first meeting there up at the upper left-hand corner, February 24th. That's where we had our first strategic long-range group, we did that SWOT analysis. Then on March 8th, that community group started looking at themes and potential strategies for improvement. Going down then tonight, what we're doing here is I'm just sharing those themes and possibly looking at some strategies for improvement and just sharing them with you. Here's where the timeline, and this is what I put together for the board. I think during April, as a district leadership group, we will start organizing and identifying those 4 potential themes or goals with objectives for a strategic plan. Then we'll, at some point, get that to building leadership to kind of have them look at it and see where they feel like that, where everything is looking at as far as potential goals and objectives. In June, we'll be actually drafting that plan then to kind of fine tune it, and then would bring that actually to you in July for a specific strategic plan that would be our 5-year plan going forward for the next 5 years from 2022 to 2027. And that's just a little bit of part of the process. Of course, you have the report. I'll be glad to answer questions. I don't know if I can answer everything, but I can, and if you have any comments or about the timeline, I'd be glad to answer those.
And you went through the 4 different areas.
Yes.
And those were from the most,
yes,
from each one of the groups, like support of students, teachers, staff, and family. Just about every group that was at the 2 nights felt that was needing to be a goal of the district. As we go down to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, there weren't as much feedback for them. Not to say they're not important, but I want to just say thank you to all the community members, all the staff, everybody that it took 2 nights of a lot of good discussion.
Yeah, I think, and Craig, that's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, there were 40 mentions of supporting students, teachers, and staff and families. The other 3, retaining and attracting quality educators, inclusivity and diversity and transparency communication, were really less mentioned. The one thing I would also say is transparency communication was our 4th area with 9 mentions. We had 9 mentions on facilities too, but that was I guess because probably we're looking at a bond. I think it was kind of just said it's a tie, so we'll just kind of lop that off. However, I would say if the bond does not pass, I think it suddenly jumps back up into being an important theme of how we're going to operate as a school board going forward. So I'd throw that out there as a potential that you might see that a change when we come back with a draft for strategic planning, depending upon how May 10th goes.
And looking at your timeline, I think I hope it gives adequate time to
reconfigure if that, after the May vote.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I think
it seems
we-
like a reasonable timeframe.
Yeah, I think we need some time. Of course, these things are not always easy. I mean, it seems like a fairly easy thing to write, but it's not always as easy as you think. And also, we're at a busy time of the year, so April and May are going to be tough to get all this put together. But we'll definitely have some time, and we'll squeeze in some of that as we go through.
Good. Okay. This is just for information purposes tonight. Obviously, come after July, there would be a need for a vote.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, well, if that's okay with everybody else, I'm moving on. Victory Road License Agreement, and this will require a motion. Do you want to speak first?
I'll talk a little bit about, we utilize Victory Road, which is owned by the Salina Catholic Diocese as well as TMP. And we utilize that for dismissal time for O'Laughlin Elementary. We use it for approximately about 15 to maybe 20 minutes each day. There has been a memorandum of agreement that has kind of served as the document going forward for the partnership between USD 489 and TMP and the Salina Catholic Diocese. We would, through some negotiations and partially because they are considering doing an update to their road, Victory Road, for some new construction of the road. We started just trying to clean up some of that language. Bill Jeter has been involved in this process throughout the entire way, and basically just some highlights of the agreement. This is for a 5-year term. The district, USD 489, will be paying $62,867. That is for the construction of a portion of the road that we would be utilizing, and it is also for, I guess in a sense, for the use of the road. It's payment for the future use of the road. There are also that we would pay the engineering fees for the portion that the road has been constructed. It's for $4,500. Like I said, we really use the road about 20 minutes every afternoon. We do not use it in the morning. We do, in the agreement, there is a 6-month notice of termination for the use of the road, and also just an agreement that should anything happen, which we hope would never be the case, that we would hold harmless TMP or Salina Catholic Diocese from anything that would arise from negligence and that would cause injury. So Bill has, like I said, Bill's been involved. We've worked through this negotiations and just bringing it to the board for approval tonight, moving forward. Now, just so it's important to note, should the bond pass on May 10th, we will be looking to, after we get the O'Laughlin new road developed and built, we would not be utilizing this road. This agreement's for 5 years, but we would anticipate that in 3 years we could potentially not have the need for the road. But I feel like it's important for our district, for the use that we've used the road in the past, as well as just being good neighbors, to help with this project, and helps us, get the road done. I think the district, 5-6 years ago, spent a considerable, like $80,000 for the construction of a portion of the road that is concrete now on that road, and when that road is going to be reconstructed, that road is fine. They won't do anything with that portion. But then we'll also be spending about $67,000 additional dollars for the next portion of the road. So over the last 5-6 years, we've put about $140-some thousand into this road. So I feel like we've done our part in terms of the use, and we do appreciate the partnership that we have with TMP, and they've been good neighbors, and they really have really been good to work with. So. I don't know, Bill, is there anything that you want to add that's important?
No, could answer any questions if anybody has any.
I just some historical, I think everybody here at this board table is aware, but can you just, I mean, obviously, we've been using road that is not on land owned by USD for a number of years. Do you recall, because we would have purchased, the USD purchased the site where Laughlin is at currently from the diocese.
That was in 1992.
Okay, so obviously, we've been utilizing that road since that time.
Yes.
But the road itself is not on our land that we own.
No. And we do appreciate the partnership. This is way before my time, but it's over the course, we've been able to, and that's one of the dilemmas, that Hall Street has become very busy, and even just using Victory Road, it's still packed. It doesn't really relieve enough stress to allow traffic to flow through, and that's one of the reasons why the bond is so important, in terms of, we really do feel like we have something in our bond scope that's really going to really make an impact on Hall Street in the morning and after school, in letting traffic flow. So I think this is a good deal. It's, of course, it could potentially be a very short-term buy for the district, because it's not like after 3 years we're going to be able to pick up our concrete and move it somewhere else. It's just, that's the way it is, but I think it's the right thing to do.
I think that purchase was before 1992, it had to be before 1990.
Well, I tell you, Alan, I'm sorry, I know the school opened in 1992.
Yeah, it was before that too, because 1990 is when, so maybe we can find out that information. I don't know when the agreement was and when we had the actual purchase.
I'm not aware, no.
So, yeah, I have some questions. This says that it's effective January 1st of this year.
Yes,
And why are we approving a contract with Redwood?
because that's what the diocese requested. Because the other agreement terminated, so that it just flows into this new agreement, because we're utilizing it now.
You talk about the memorandum of understanding,
Right.
when did it?
I don't have it in front of me, Alan, I can't answer that.
Okay, so, because in the contract, it says something about past agreements and current, future are null and void with this contract. Is that right? So whatever we agreed at before, we don't have to worry about.
Right.
So was there a timeline that, from the agreements before, because we have, yes, they've been a good neighbor, but we've been participating by doing a lot of purchasing and helping with these projects, right? So I guess my question is, what?
Well, we spent $80-some thousand to upgrade it to concrete, part of it.
And then was it 20-some to do the turnaround?
No, I don't know. I thought it was less than-
I'm not sure exactly if that was part of the 80,000 or if that was additional.
Because that was earlier than that, in 2015.
Yeah. And I know there's been various times when the board and administration looked at alternatives to that road. And they were either too expensive or just not feasible.
Now, is that the same process you're looking for the bond, is to do something on the south part of Laughlin?
There's a rendition that's on the website, proposed.
That was where it was originally back then. So I noticed it says that either party can cancel lease after 6 months, or with a 6 months notice.
With a 6-month notice.
And so, but there's nothing mentioned as far as getting retroactive or getting funds back.
Yeah, we would get pro rata, we'd get money back if they terminated.
If they terminate
the agreement.
But in 3
Earlier than
years.
5 years.
So in 3 years, if we terminate it, then we don't get anything
No.
back. And so we pay everything up front, the full amount, and
Yes.
it's not like per year or anything,
No.
like most
They
places.
wanted us to pay an annual fee, but we negotiated that out of the agreement, on top of this.
Oh, on top of it.
Right. So we not only pay for the road improvements, we pay an additional
Annual fee for
maintenance
use.
fee.
Okay. So now we're just contributing toward the development, and then we get to use it for this long.
So essentially what we're doing, we're paying for a license to use that road for 5 years. And it's actually, I don't know if y'all know, this is new to me, but the district itself doesn't use that road. It's the parents of children who go to Wausau use that road. So as a district, we don't have any trucks or vehicles or
Right.
buses that use.
But as a district, we kind of direct the flow of traffic.
Sure,
like
because
kind of
it
the building
doesn't-
managers
it doesn't
are like,
work. The flow
"You gotta
doesn't
get
work
it."
for the-
Yeah.
But it's two grades, isn't it? Go off that side?
Yeah, it's the lower grades, primary grades, K and 1, I believe.
Well, and I think that we're kind of in a predicament that they own the road. And so, you know, in order to continue to utilize that road, we have to kind of listen to what they say and try to work with them as well. And like Ron says, be good neighbors to them so that we can continue to use that road.
There was one part in there that I was wondering about, is that it said that the district is required to monitor speed, traffic, and how are we going to do that, and what's the expense of that?
I would say, I can answer
Page
that.
2.2.
Yeah, we monitor it now because we have supervision out there, and that's been pretty much the case the
How
whole.
do you do the speed? By
If someone's driving too fast, you wave them down and say, hey, slow down a little bit.
our crossing guards?
Yeah, we don't have a gun. We don't have a gun. Yeah.
Our crossing guards somehow.
Well, it's not crossing guards, it's usually, it'd be our staff, teaching staff that's out there.
That monitor that after school.
Yeah. And it's usually more not necessarily our parents, it's usually TMP students that sometimes are going to softball practice, baseball practice, and those are usually the ones that we monitor the speed on.
There's also a word said that if somebody gets out of their car, or if they're congregating or something, that's a possible violation, and they can terminate the lease.
What's the item number, Alan?
I didn't copy that page, but it might be like 6.3 or 5.2. Pull it up.
Yeah, the thing is, no one really ever gets out of their car. The teachers walk the students to the vehicle. They open the doors, get in. There's really, no one ever gets out of the vehicle. So I don't really think that'll ever be an issue.
We good?
Go for it.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would make a motion that we table 7-2 Victory Road lease agreement to the board meeting of May 16th.
May 16th?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second? All right. Further discussion?
Yeah, I think $63,000 or $68,000 is a lot of money that could be spent other places. If we started with the road and built the road, now we're going to have charged to use it. I have issues with that. We can move kids in and out a different way if we had to. I've heard that we have at least part of their softball field's ours, and we don't charge them anything. I think we're more than a good neighbor. If they shut down a road, well, there are alternatives to get kids in and out of there if we need to, and that would allow us to figure out if it needs to be a 5-year lease or a 3-year lease, and we can adjust from there.
We've had this item one other time before, and I think that Bill Jeter and Ron have worked with them, and this is about the best that they've been able to get, and I think it's, for what it is, it seems to be a...
But we're going to pay for 2 years of non-use. And at $68,000, I think teachers could use that money in their classrooms. It's probably a teacher. It's probably 3 or 4 paras. It's a lot of money to drive on a road for 15 minutes one way when we built the road, we built most of that road in the first place, or some of that road in the first place. And we're not charging them to use their outfield. And another question I would have is, if somebody gets hurt on that part, are we liable? Because I don't know if we have an agreement with that deal, that softball field that's owned by 49 that they're playing on. And we don't charge them anything, nor have we ever brought it up.
In your discussions regarding, was that brought forward in terms of the timeline and the,
No, I mean, I think the thing is they're wanting to move on the project, but if that's the board's, they'll just have to understand that the board here, USD 49 board, has made that decision if that's the decision that's made.
Another concern would be, it'd be great if it would be, the contract went with the school year, not end in the middle of the year. So if we started
it's a calendar year versus the school's fiscal year?
It'd be a school year, because if it ends in the middle of the year, then what are we going to do? Another problem.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the table.
I have another
Oh,
question,
I'm sorry,
if I
yes.
could.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Wilson, do you foresee, if we were to delay this contract, do you foresee TMP or the diocese objecting to our delay in an overt way?
Well, the way I see it is we are paying them for the use of this road and the construction of this road. It's kind of, in a sense, just like we're kind of, so they're relying on us to complete this project. We're relying on them to utilize that road. So it's, I think we have to work together. If we need to go back and visit some more, I mean, I've not talked to them about, what exactly, they haven't given me a deadline in terms of we need it done by this. I did not want to, and we haven't actually, well, in a sense, you would be spending the money by approving this. So, that's the thing that it's not necessarily agreement, it is the money I think they're probably interested in for the construction. But I can ask, what the deadline is. I think the project is slated for this summer, I believe. That was the desired outcome that they were hoping to achieve this summer to work on that road. But I've not heard recently. And I don't know, did you ever get another deadline or anything?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
The one payment is pretty specific with, $867.85, but the amount for $4,500 for the engineering fees, is that just an estimate, or could it be less than that? Could we say up to $4,500?
No, that was figured on the distance of the road that we would be adding and we would be utilizing. I don't know the formula, I mean, I could get that exact formula, but I don't know. That was done by an engineer and just relayed to me on what that amount. That's not the full engineering fee for the project.
They're overseeing the project then?
Who's that?
The engineering fees, what's that get us, or what are we buying?
Well, that was the designing the road.
Playing it.
Yeah, all the work that goes in. It's fairly in-depth and intense. I mean, it's not just putting up some forms and putting down some new concrete. They're grading it, and they've moved the road slightly from its original configuration, and that was with some information that the engineers have come up with.
So it is possible then, if we delay till that date, that $62,867 for construction could possibly change.
Yeah, I mean, their fee isn't going to be, their money is not going to be due until the road is completed, I would imagine. I don't,
How they work.
So, and they're not, I think what I heard was they wouldn't be starting till this summer. So I think the $62,000 isn't going to be due technically till probably the end of the summer. So I don't think it probably throws a big crimp in the plans, other than, if after May 10th, if for some reason the bond would not, then the board decides to go look at it differently. I don't know.
Let me ask this, if you were to go back and renegotiate, what are our possibility of renegotiating it any further?
I wouldn't have any idea. I don't know where that $62,000 figure came from anyway.
Well, it was calculated on the distance, and I think it's so many feet that has been added, and just the cost that would. Now, originally, there was some costs that were for some curbing, there were some costs for some sidewalks, off of the curbing, just so our students could stand, and staff could stand on and stay dry should the weather gets, because it does get kind of messy over there at certain points of the year where we get a lot of moisture. But we decided not to go with that, and this is just the road and the turnaround area.
Before I call for a formal vote, I think you bring up a very intriguing aspect to the motion. I'm going to vote no myself, just because I want to put it out there that this bond truly is a reflection of the community. Yes, it's benefiting USD 489, but I'm hoping that a lot of those patrons that don't use our facility but use the private schools' facilities understand that this bond is the best interest of the community, that our USD has done lots of things to be good partners. And so, but I thank you though for, it's really that aspect of, we've been, which hat do we wear? And so it's not an easy decision. So thank you for that.
I would say May 16th, we can still make the same decision. We're just postponing it to make a better decision by waiting to see what the bond investment incurs. And $62 or $3,000, I have a hard time looking at 49 patrons that put us in this position to monitor their money and how it's being spent. And if we're going to buy something and we get it for 3 years and we bought it for 5, that's not a very wise investment to me.
Any other comments? Otherwise, I'll question. Oh, sorry.
Just a couple of things. I like Kurt's idea on that, but also when we're looking at a safety issue for students, parents, and if anyone is driven around O'Laughlin at pickup time, our pickup times, we are doing a lot to keep it safe for students and staff and parents at this time, but if it stretches and we have to do without that road, you said there's different ways to do it. I know this district has revisited the traffic at O'Laughlin and on Hall Street many, many times. And all it has is increased over the years. And it will continue to increase as North Hayes builds up. Right now, there's a tremendous amount of traffic coming down Hall Street that used to use 27th Street. So for the rest of this semester, and there's even going to be more traffic in that area. So
I would say
it's not an easy decision,
no, but
I have to weigh student safety, parent safety with dollars also on that. And I am the first one to admit, we have parking lots, we have other things that need fixing right now. And with the bond issue, we're going to be able to hopefully do a lot of that. But it's coming back to that safety issue that really bothers me.
Safety issue would be every school that we have before and after. I dropped off my kids the other day on that snow morning at Wilson and the middle school, and I saw kids getting dumped out in the middle of the road, not going through there, running between traffics while the snow's flying. And I think a lot of this issue started when we stopped busing kids within our school, because now you have every parent has to bring their kids to every school, and I saw administrators opening doors for my kids, and I had an administrator I heard got sloshed all over with water because they're opening doors on the curbs, because we are bringing every kid in a single vehicle, and we are not taking parents and helping them out with education by, we took that away, and that's when it all started happening.
But just to clarify that, we're still busing every kid that's 2.5 miles away from school, so we're not...
We bused every kid prior to. And they used to bus my kids from Wilson and the middle school to Hayes High, so I could stay for students. And when they took that away, as soon as that bell rang, I got in my truck and beat it across town with the parents so I could get my kids. And then I had to go back to the high school and told my kids I'd be back there at 3:45 to help them with their schoolwork. And what a pain in the butt. And because we tried to save a few dollars with not busing anybody. And I get reimbursed to take my kids to Anthony, but we had every kid, and they met at a location, central location, and they were all busing. And all you got to do is spend one day out there in front of those schools. What a circus. And how we've not injured a kid is beyond me.
You had something that you were going to share, I believe.
Oh, no, I just would also really like to see us restore transportation assistance. It's just, you don't realize how severely it affects families until you're working with people who can't take their lunch break because they have to go get their kid from school at 3. And it's appalling.
That might be something we...
I think we should definitely use this information for a discussion later. This can't be fixed by implementing busing right away, right now, this minute. But I agree with all of those points universally. I attended a Catholic high school, and the public school bused me there because I was able to get picked up at an elementary school, and they drove right past our school to drop us off. It was safe and reliable, and there was less absenteeism because we had that. And those are the kind of partnerships I look forward to building.
Okay.
But right now...
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I was not here during that time. The thing is, just so the board understands, I think everyone would say, yeah, let's bus, but you have to understand, that's a lot of additional buses, a lot of additional salary and for staff, and just a few more things. So it's not as simple as just saying, oh yeah, we'll bus, because it's dollars and cents and considerable amount of dollars and cents.
Okay, so back to the motion and second on the table was to delay. All those in favor of delaying till it's May 16th is our meeting, I believe. Please state aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, please state nay. Nay. And I don't know whether anybody was abstaining. Please vote electronically the same way. And Board Clerk, what was the, I don't know what was the vote? Oh, we're waiting on a vote.
Should be 5-2.
It did not pass, okay. So at this point, I guess, does somebody else have, I'd like to ask somebody else to make a motion?
Do we have a motion
The
for the
motion,
contract? It's on the table?
no one made a motion for the,
You didn't?
no, yeah, the only motion on the table.
I would move to approve the contract.
I would second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'm going to vote against it, mainly because I'd like to have more information, especially the exact amount. We don't know exactly where that number came from, and that's what I'm concerned about. Also, the fees, are we going to pay that fee, or are we going to actually pay the actual cost? We don't have that information. And also, I'm worried about that if they cancel in 6 months, we still are out the whole 60-some thousand. I guess there isn't, it's not laid out in the contract exactly how that's prorated. And those were things that I was concerned about.
Okay, any other?
Mr. Jeter, can you clarify what prorating a contract like this one means, so that we can clarify that particular point?
Prorated over the 5 years.
Right, so it would be
based on-
divided by the number of days left in the contract,
Right.
basically, and then multiplied by that number of days?
Right.
Okay.
So it does.
Right.
So it does, that would be a
That's only
fixed
if-
figure?
If we.
If they cancel it?
If they cancel it.
They can't,
If they
But
cancel it, we get our
For 2
money
years,
back?
we don't need it, and we cancel it, we're out.
we're,
Well, yeah, which is typical of most
and
contracts.
the numbers, Alan, are exact.
Yeah,
It's $62,867.85 for a 5-year license to use the road.
Okay, it doesn't say how much the
Yeah.
construction cost is?
That's
That's
what we're
what
paying
it's
for.
based on, that's the amount we're paying.
Okay.
So, that's an exact figure, and the $4,500 is a non-refundable amount for engineering fees. That's an exact amount.
So this
So-
money will not change, that
The money-
is
the
the
money
exact
doesn't
amount
change,
that's in the,
Just to make
But
that.
they haven't designed a road yet, so we know exactly.
But it doesn't matter, if the road costs $50,000 more than they think, it doesn't matter.
No, the road has been designed, that's what we're paying for, the road has been
Yes,
designed.
so
That's our portion of the
Architect fees have
engineering
already
fees.
been done.
Yes, yeah, that's not changing.
Prior to this contract.
well, they were wanting to
Well, I
move
think they
forward anyway.
needed to estimate cost, and then, so they sent it out for bids.
Right, I think my primary concern about delaying it and going for it right now is that we know that construction costs are rising. And I think what we would look at is, in an attempt to renegotiate, we might end up paying the same price for less time, instead of actually having the service that we need, the access that we need.
But we're paying to use their road, they're paying us nothing to use our softball field. I don't get that. We're the good neighbor, I don't see them being the good neighbor.
Okay.
I mean,
But being a good neighbor doesn't depend on the other guy being a good neighbor.
it takes two to make a marriage, and two have to be engaged in the process. And if we're the givers all the time, then that's not good neighbors.
Okay. Any other? We'll go ahead, then we do have a motion and a second to basically approve the contract. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. All opposed, please state nay.
Nay.
And I think everybody voted, so no abstentions. And then please vote electronically the same way. And did I hear everybody, would that be passing 5-2? Did I hear correctly? Okay, so, thank you, though. That was healthy dialogue, and I appreciate that. As of now, I understand that there is not a need to go into executive session.
No.
So, barring anything else, I haven't had a meeting without an executive
Well, I
session.
think we have had, I think we have.
Tammy, who knows? Yeah, I'm not gonna jinx it. So I would ask for somebody to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Yes.
Madam President, we have for agenda request.
No, we've gone back to following the policy. The policy, written policy is to put it into, so we've been following that for several months now.
Send it to the president.
Yes, so I have a motion to adjourn, but you want, not adjourn?
No,
We haven't seconded yet. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, state nay.
Waiting to adjourn.
I can't. I got it. No.